Okie doke. So to make the really simple $4 hand towel look better, all I've done is I've got my 2.5-inch squares of fabric and I've sewn 7 together. So when you buy your hand towel, you can measure across the hand towel, and then you can find, oh, I need not 7 for this one, I need 8, so I need to put another one on the end. So depending on the width of the hand towel, this must be wider, I need one more square. So I'm actually going to unpick this one and use this one. I don't know if I've got another square. That happens. So I'm going to add one more square on the end because it needs to be longer, because the 2 end ones I'm going to turn under and top stitch. So instead of making it so it fits, I want the end ones to turn under so it makes it stronger, because remember, a hand towel is going to go in and out of the wash a lot. Now when you unpick, I don't know how you do it, but I always start it and open it and unpick it from inside here. I don't turn it over and unpick on the back. I open up my seam and I just lift the stitches up from there, because it makes it really easy. And that's how I do my unpicking. I don't do it from one side or the other, because you can't see the stitches sometimes, so it makes it really easy to unpick it through here and just pull it gently out. Before I reuse my fabric, I iron it so that I have not stretched my fabric. I've ironed it flat and I'm working with a nice square bit of fabric. If I feel I've stretched it, I won't use it. So now I'm going to sew my 1/4-inch seam onto here, and my start stop fabric has disappeared. There it is there. So just run that down and then pop my square back on. So it'll be whatever with your towel you are using is going to be how many squares you're going to need. So I can't really tell you that because I don't know what size you're going to be using. There's another piece I can use. Perfect. Once I've done that, I press all my seams one way. So this one, I'm pressing all my seams one way. Oops. So then the next step is I lay this down and I measure across this length. So this is going to be, I'll come on to this side so I can see it. I'm going to measure across here, and that is 16 and 3/8. Yep, 16 and 3/8. So I need to cut my strip of fabric, oh, if I'm lucky, 16 and 3/8. Look at that. So I would normally use my cutter, but I'm just showing you here. So 16 and 3/8. Now the reason why I do that, and I'll just check that that is the right size, is because then when I sew this onto here, I can put my 2 ends perfectly there, sew it on, and nothing stretches, and I won't end up with a band that goes like that. It's going to be nice and straight because I've measured the edge of this, and that's the right size. So now I'm going to put right side to right side and just sew down both sides with my strips of fabric, and then press my seam away from my pieces. So I'm going to just start off by putting my needle into my work there, and then I'm going to put my clip at the end so my seams are even, and that's how I know that it's going to be all nice and even without any bows or anything in my straight piece of fabric. And this is what you do when you're adding your borders on a quilt as well. Don't just sew the fabric and trim it afterwards. Measure and fit that piece of fabric onto the piece you've already sewn, and you'll end up with a good result. So I'm going to stitch 2 pieces. Well, I'm going to stitch one and then show you the one I've done, and then show you how to stitch it onto your hand towel. When I'm making this sort of thing for the grandchildren, I actually fuse the fabric onto the towel because they're a little bit rough and it's a towel they're going to wash themselves with. So if I'm doing them for the grandchildren, I actually fuse this fabric on with Eliza Fix. Okay, but I'm not doing that today. So now the seam will be pressed away from my fabric. Reason being, I want to be able to fold my fabric over and make a little binding. So I want to press my seam up towards my binding fabric. So I'm just pressing it up like that. Trimming that off. And then I'm going to be folding this over there to form a nice little binding. And the reason why I want that amount, because I'm going to be folding this in and I want it nice, plenty of fabric to make it nice and strong. So then I just press this over. So that's why I use that amount of fabric, so that it kind of meets nearly in the middle and it makes it strong. So you do that to both sides. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier, just to show you. So, oh, needs ironing again. So this is the black, like the black one there. And here's another one that I did. So that's got to be pressed, and I didn't have as much fabric for the edge. And this one is my green one. So I'll just press it flat. Turn it over. This looks really nice with the stripe. Really, really smart. Give it another press. And what I'll do, I'll show you how you stitch that on. Just put a couple of clips to hold it. Press the other side. And then depending on the size of your hand towel, we'll just go like this. So lay this down. And what I do is I measure so that I'm going to be turning under the same amount both ends. So I just measure it, pretend I've measured it beautifully, and then I turn under my allowance and I work out where I'm putting it, and I just actually center it over that little bit of fabric they've got there, and I just clip. Use clips for everything. And now I measure this, and that is exactly 1 inch. And then I measure here, and it should be exactly 1 inch because I had my micrometer in. And if not, I'll just move it a little bit so it is. And then measure from here to here. Actually use my little measuring tool, which is run away under somewhere. Overrated. Measure up from here and make sure it's exactly the same. So that is 1 6/8, and that is 1 6/8, so it's nice and even. And then measure, that's 1 inch there. Look at that, it is amazing. And pop that onto there. Some more clips. And then I just use the edge stitch foot to stitch that all the way around the edge. Okay? Now what I'm going to do on the ones I've finished is just show you how I am going to finish them. So this has been edge stitched all the way around the outside. So it's been edge stitched around the outside with the edge stitch. But all of this in here, because I haven't fused it on, is just going to go all soft and horrible, and it won't look very nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my foot, and I'm going to do like I did on the other one, and I am just going to quilt either side of my fabric. So I'm going to start, you can use your lock off button, or you can go forward and reverse, whatever you would like to do. and start quilting it. Now, by doing white, it's going to pop it out. If I did red, you wouldn't really see the quilting. So decide the look you want. It's funny when you're not using your own machine and it doesn't have all the features. But that's okay. We can rebuild it. And then just start quilting it. So I'll go to all one way and then turn around and go back the other way. It's just going to mean through all the washing you're going to get a much better finish on your towel, because it won't all just bunch up because there's no quilting on it. And as you know, hand towels get a lot of work. So you can see I don't bother cutting my thread, I cut it at the end. I just continue on stitching. Because otherwise it's too time consuming. But it makes a difference when you quilt something and not quilt it. And two more. I think these are quite fun and colourful and bright and cheery for Christmas. Okay, so once I've done that, you've got all your threads just sitting across, and then you just go and trim all those back and then go the other way. Makes such a difference quilting. It's amazing the difference it makes. And it's fun and it's quick and it's easy. I trim all the back when I'm finished. I don't worry about doing it just yet. And then turn around and go back the other way. And that is how I will quilt those all. And they will stay looking really nice and tidy through lots and lots of washes. Because white towel, let's face it, it's not the most practical, but it looks pretty. Or you can just put them in your kitchen just because they look pretty. I'll stop there so you're not watching me do the same thing all the way, and just show you the difference. And cut, cut and trim. So you can see the difference from, from quilting them down. They look so much nicer than leaving them just like this, because that's going to get all saggy and horrible through washing. Okay, so quilting them down looks nice, real fun. Right, so that's your hand towels. Now the last thing I want to show you are my little Christmas boxes. So this all came about because I cleaned up all my containers in my sewing room, and I went, oh, I haven't done anything with tea bags for a while. So I like sewing tea bags together. I know it's weird, but it's really cool, and tea bag is the tea bags are really strong fabric. So here's a dried tea bag with the tea in it. So you dry your tea bag, and then when I'm doing this particular job, I like to just get a quick unpick and cut it from the back, and because I want the whole of the tea bag, I want the whole size of the tea bag. So I just empty out my tea, and that can go in your compost, in your garden, wherever. I get rid of all the tea, preferably, and I'm left with this really cool tea bag. So the next thing I do is I give it an iron so that it's nice and flat. So randomly I decided that I would make some Christmas boxes. So this was my tea bag Christmas box. And I have used 6 squares of a product called Timtex. Now Timtex is a product that is not fusible. If you have at home fast to fuse, you can use the same thing. So See this little square here? This is called fast to fuse, and both sides are fusible. So again, going with the 2.5 inch theme, I have cut 6 little squares, and that's fine, except for we can't buy this product at the moment. So I had to come up with an alternative, and the alternative is Timtex. Timtex is the same weight exactly as Fast to Fuse, but I wanted to make it into a fusible product. So I've ironed Vlisafix to both sides of my Timtex. Then I'm going to peel off my paper of my Vlisafix, like that. Peel off my paper of my Vlisafix, like that. And now I've made it into Fast to Fuse. So I've made a product that wasn't fusible into a fusible product. So now I'm going to cut this into a 2.5 inch square. And I will show you what I did. I'll do a 2.5 inch strip first. And then I'll make it into a 2.5 inch square. So whether you've got the correct product that we can't buy at the moment, or Timtex, they will both work exactly the same. So now this is going to work exactly the same as Fast to Fuse. It's the same weight, double-sided fusible, it's all good. So I'm going to grab my tea bag, and the part that I cut it, you can hardly actually see which side it is. It's that side. So I'm going to put my cut side down there, and then I'm going to find another tea bag that I've already got ready. Oh, that's right. This tea bag, one of my ladies has kindly donated these to me, but the end was cut off to empty the tea. So if I use this tea bag, it's not quite as wide. So I would have to use another piece of a tea bag to join it on. So if I do that like this one was not wide enough. You see here and here. So I'm just going to straight stitch down there. You'll really never notice it, just to secure it so it doesn't peel off. But this is now fused both sides. So I might just empty this tea bag out. So I've got two the right size. And I know it's weird, but I love sewing with tea bags, and they really are the coolest colour. And I love the old worldly look that you get from the tea bags. It's not even going to hurt if you left tea in it, I presume. But it's not something you're going to be washing, so you don't have to worry about your tea bag disintegrating, because these tea bags I've had for 2 or 3 years. So now if I use the tea bags that are the right size for my one, I'll just fuse those together. So when I'm fusing them, I just line them both up and do them at the same time. And use my pressing cloth. If you're worried, I'm not worried, because the tea bags can handle a lot of heat, as you know, because they go in boiling water. Very hot. Robin, that was not the best press there. Didn't line that up very well. You don't want to see any of the white. There we go. And it smells just like a tea bag. It's actually funny. When I did it, it reminded me of my granddad. I don't know why, but it smelled like his house. They must have drunk a lot of tea. Now remember, you can get all sorts of tea bags. This is a turmeric tea, so I can get yellow tea bags. So it really doesn't matter. You can have it all sorts of colours. Red tea bags. There's lots and lots. So what you do, if you've got a tea bag that isn't the right size, what we're going to do is we're going to cut, and we're just going to straight stitch it together. It's not going to make any difference. So I'm going to put the right colour in my bobbin as on the top, and I'm sure I've got one here somewhere. Here it is. So the right colour thread top and bottom, and I've mixed and matched my threads because I've run out from time to time. So this time I'm using, this poor box is going to have 3 different types of thread on it. So this is an embroidery thread. It doesn't matter. As long as it's a similar colour, you can use anything. And I'm going to put it on the top. And all you do is just sew these together first, because remember that tea bag didn't quite make the grade. And it was a little bit too small, so I'm just going to push clear on my machine, and I'm just going to stitch down my straight stitch. Put my bobbin in, yes I did. And I'm just going to straight stitch to hold my tea bag, just for future, because it's going to become a box. And I noticed that this one's got a, oh no, that's not the join. Oh, I've got both joins. Join on both sides. So I've just straight stitched down there, job done. No big deal. No one's going to notice that. So now I'm going to go on to satin stitch. Now satin stitch is just a zigzag, very close and not too wide. So it's on about 0.3. And most of you will have a satin zigzag, this one, a satin stitch. This one hasn't got one. So I'm just going to make it on 3.2. You can do it on any width you like. And I'm going to satin stitch around all my edges. So I'm just running it on the edge of the foot, on the edge of the square, and it's very firm. So it's very easy to do. And I just line them all up and do them all at once. Okay, then when I'm ready to go around my corner, if I was going to do them all at once, I would just lift it up and sew around my corner. Don't be fussy, it's all getting stitched again after this, not with satin stitch, unless you want to go around it twice. But I just stitch them all together, and I work usually on one side, so there is going to be a right and a wrong side. And if you want it wider, go wider. It makes no difference. Needle to the right if you're going to lift it up and turn the corner and start from the edge. But I don't do them singly because that's a little bit of a waste of time. I just do them all at once. So you can imagine when you're doing a lot of them, you just do them all at the same time. I'll finish this one off so I can show you the next step. One of the ladies has challenged me, and she's given me round tea bags. So I'll have to think of what I'm going to make. I think I've already thought I'm going to make a little cylinder container out of it. Maybe to put pens in or something. Now when I get to the end of the last one, I just reverse it and it's finished. Okay, so once you've got all, just trim any excess. Once you've got all your tea bags and they're all satin stitch, you're then going to lay them out. And the beauty about tea bags is you really don't need to worry. You just choose which side you like the best and have the right side facing down on the table. So you're making a box. So I've given you step-by-step pictures, but basically you're going to have two sides. So I join those first, then I join the back one and the lid like that, and then I join the front one. So you're going to have 4 across, 4 that way, and 3 across in the middle. So now I'm going to join these two together. Now what I do is this is the wrong side and this is the right side. I turn them so I've got my right side together, and I change my stitch to the running zigzag. You don't want a zigzag with points because the points can weaken. You want a stepping zigzag like this. So you can see I've got different coloured threads, so I don't think the person that's getting this will mind. So I just go to the running zigzag and I do it on about 4.5, 4.5 and I know 2.5, and go forward and reverse, and I'll just see if I'm happy with the width. That's plenty wide enough. Reverse it, and then I just run down each seam. The reason why also I use this because it's flexible when I turn my box up. So I join these together first, and sometimes I go back over it again just to make it nice and strong, but don't overly stitch it or it won't flex. Okay, done. And that is how easy it is to sew the box together. Now, if you're using Santas, you need to think. So this is going to be the inside of my box. This is going to be the outside of my box. So if I'm going to use a Santa, I'll just fuse this on to show you. If I'm going to use a Santa, and this is the inside of my box, I have to think which way Santa's going to be standing up, even if he's got no head. So when I do it, I want to do it so when he folds up, he's going to be on the outside. So you can see on this one, you just have to think ahead of time which way your Santa's going to be sitting when he folds up. So you do have to think about that. And on one, two, I've got to think which way it's going. On this one here, I put a little loop and I satin stitch my elastic on like this, so that when I finish and sew a button on, I can loop my button around, my elastic around my button, and that finishes my little box like that. Okay, so when you get to this stage, you've got it all satin stitched ready to go, and it's actually really hard to tell the right and wrong side. This is the right side. So then I do my random things that I have in my sewing room that I'm not going to use. These pearls are actually a stud button, and then I found a 10-cent piece, so I just glued that on. Then I found it was actually a really ugly button on the other side, but the wrong side looked the colour of the tea bag, so I thought that's kind of cool. Then I found a couple of really cool little buttons, so I stitched those on by machine. And then I found an old necklace which was really ready to throw out, and I sewed that on. So just random things. This was a little bit of fusible glitter stuff I had, sewed that on and found a cute little heart, and so that will be my closure for my little box. Now, believe it or not, I hand stitch them closed. So the first thing I do once I've done my titivating is I get my needle and thread and I sit in front of the TV and I make it nice and strong. So I've got a couple of knots in the end. And no, I'm not good at doing it from the needle like Mum showed me, but I do the stitch Mum taught me. Oh no, I don't on this one actually, I just go in and out. So I've got a dark colour so you can see. So all I do is I fold up one corner and I literally go in the corner, in the corner from here to the outside. I literally go in here and I use exactly the same colour thread normally, but I'm just showing you. So I've just gone in the corner and I just come over and go in the corner here. And all I'm going to do is wrap it over and around. So I'll just do a couple and show you. And I do them very close together. So I just come on this side of my satin stitching. Got to find where my needle is first, is quite handy. Or closer. Like that. So just on the inside of my satin stitching. And then on the outside of the satin stitching, the same distance. And I don't pull it up straight away so you can see, and then when you pull it up, it looks like that. And I just go round and round and round, knot it off, do the next one, do the next one, do the next one, and you've got a cute little box. Okay? And then put your button on top. So I will titivate this now before I hand stitch it together, so that my little box has got all the things I want to put on it. And it's really quite fun because you can just go and get old bits of treasure that you've kept for whatever reason and make it into something useful. So great idea of mine, thinking these will be really, really cute for the kids for Christmas, but I've only finished 2. So I have to make another 9. So that's quite a few, but I do enjoy actually making them. So will they get done for this Christmas? Yeah, it's debatable. They may get done, they may be one per household, and then next year there might be another per household, and they might all end up with them. But some of you ladies had a great idea. These could be made smaller and they could hang on the tree because they're very, very light. So they could be quite a fun thing to hang on the tree. And one lady said, make 24 of them and put chocolates in them as your advent calendar. That is never going to happen in my household because I'm not going to make them 1-inch square. So anyway, I just think they're very cute, but you could make them a little bit smaller and hang on the tree. But I just think they'll be a real fun thing. And also, someone suggested you make a jack-in-the-box. So I might Google that and maybe make a jack-in-the-box. So when you open up, something pops out at you. Oh, yeah, actually, I'm thinking about that. I might see what there is available. But yeah, that's just another little cute idea for you for Christmas. So, I mean, they could just be made all year round for a gift. They don't have to be done for Christmas. But I think they're pretty cute. So I lost the lid to this one, so I found another Santa. So this one's waiting for its button, and this one's going to have Rudolph. So we've got Rudolph buttons and we've got Santa buttons. So some of them will have Rudolph and some of them will have Santas. But they are pretty cute. But my favourite ones is sewing with tea bags because I love sewing with tea bags. So there's just a weird, fun little thing for you to make. All right. So I hope you have enjoyed that. Christmas party. So it's a garden party on the 10th of February. You would have already been sent out the email. If you haven't booked for next year Bernina Club and you want to come, you can do that online. So remember, mybernina.co.nz. And the other thing you need to remember is the Christmas sale for Bernina is on till the 24th of December. And there's 20% off all the Bernina accessories and all the sewing machines. Not all the sewing machines, most of the sewing machines and overlockers are on special. So whether you need a machine for yourself or for a family member, Bernette or Bernina, they are all on special. Most of them are on special till the 24th of December. So have a really, really good Christmas, and I will see you at the garden party on the 10th of February. Happy Christmas.